Here with Northwestern State head coach Bobby Barbier. The Demons coming off a couple of wins against Wichita State this weekend. Coach, I know you don't like the S word, so we're going to stay away from that. And it's not that S word. But a good weekend, and something you talked about. You have an 8-game homestand to start the year. You said you wanted to get some momentum, and you wanted to keep it. No better way to do that than to win a game like you did Sunday.
Yeah, and it's, teams can feed off of those wins. When you can win a game late, it shows you, and it's the chicken or the egg theory, right? Do you stay in the game in order to win the game later, or do you have to be shown that to next time when it's 1-0 or 0-0, late in the game, that we have that belief in the dugout? And that's one thing we had all weekend in the dugouts. We had that belief, and getting 2 wins was great. But I think the important thing is how some guys took the mound. Some guys are getting their first Division I start as position players, just attacking a game, and competing their tails off, and that's what I wanted to see. Now, 1,000 different things could have happened that weekend, so it could have finished differently. But I was excited about seeing guys competing for the first time as a team.
You talked about learning, and we talked Saturday after the game, and you said, we needed to hold that 2-1 game at a 2-1 game. Jonathan Harmon, as a freshman, holds a 1-0 game at 1-0, gets some help from another freshman, Drake Smith, and the offense finally comes through. So quick studies, offensively and pitching-wise, at least from day to day. You don't want to take too much out of week one, but you did at least put some of that into practice.
Yeah, and I thought Johnny wasn't as sharp as he has been with multiple pitches in scrimmages. He couldn't really, the slider wasn't there, but he's got a pitch. He's got a real pitch with that fastball, and he's able to throw it over and over again. It's just it's like a Mariano cutter. Maybe not quite that good yet, but it's just hard to get the barrel to, if he throws it in the right spot. And, when he left it up to one time, the guy let him know about it. So I was excited to see him compete when he wasn't his best. That's what kind of excited me about watching him compete. Same thing with Drake. Drake had really good fastball command. The slider wasn't really there, but he competed and he found a way to get it done with just that one pitch that day. And when they have multiples here in the future, they're gonna be pretty special.
New faces in the lineup did. Hitting was tough, and we've talked about it. Hitting at this point is probably behind pitching, but you had some good moments. Cam Sibley, your new shortstop, had a couple of RBIs in 2 different games, and Marshall Skinner. That second half of last year, I think he really settled in, and he was your offensive leader this weekend.
Yeah, he did a great job. Obviously the big 3-run homer kind of, when you hadn't scored yet and the guy's pitching really well on the other side to start the season, you kind of press a little bit. So that let us breathe, and it got those relievers in there, which I thought they had 3 really good starters, on the weekend. I think they won a lot of games because of that. So it was nice to see guys. We just got to do it earlier. We have to find a way, because you can really lose that game early on both sides of the ball. So we got to find a way to have more pressure earlier in the game, especially the guys that can run.
Well, you'll face ULM, your first midweek game. This is a group that you've seen since you've been here as player, coach, assistant coach, head coach.
Yeah.
Mike Federico took over 3 years ago, and he seems to have them moving the right direction.
Yeah, Fed's a really good coach. I was excited for him because he's a friend of mine, but he's a really good coach. He's gotten them, better every single year. I think they played well this past weekend. We actually talked on the phone a little while ago. They played well this past weekend. They're going to come in ready to play. There's no doubt about it. We have to, again, you're learning as it goes. We have to be able to find that same energy for a midweek game. And I don't know why you wouldn't. We don't, like I told you, the S word series. We don't talk about them, because we got to win that game. So if you really have that mentality on our team, then this game shouldn't be any different than the 3 we played this weekend.
And I realize it's a little different when it comes to baseball because you pull in different guys. You've got a lot of guys, maybe not necessarily from Louisiana, but there's one brother duo that this game is going to mean a lot to, and that's the Hortons. And Cole came in and was another one of those new guys that gets thrown in the fire and delivers maybe the biggest at bat, certainly to that point of that game for you Sunday.
Yeah, I like to talk about guys that make us put them in. If we're being completely honest, I was thinking about Redshirt and Cole because we've got some really good catchers. That's the position he plays. But his BP and his early scrimmages and his at-bats have been so good that he just forced our hand. He forced our hand to where it was going to be. Well, I know he's a freshman, and I know, I was talking to Coach Burt. He kind of gave me the nut, pushed me over the edge to give him an AB. We knew we wanted a left-handed hitter there, and he came in and did a really good job. So he he's going to get better. He's our kind of guy. He's tough. He works a lot. He's got a really good swing, good setup. So he's going to be a good player for us.
And he'll see his brother Cameron. So I know he's probably going to be nudging you maybe to get in.
Yeah, no, I know. Cole is. They're completely different if you look at them. Cameron's 6'4", 220 pounds, and Cole's a linebacker. So it's which we recruited Cameron to way back in the day. So we got to, and Tim, their dad, is a good friend of mine. So I got to know the family, over the years. So which has been pretty neat. It'll be neat tomorrow night.
Well, a unique situation there when brothers get to play, but also a little bit of a unique situation coming up this weekend. North Alabama is a team that's transitioning from Division II to Division I, also playing 4 games in a weekend with a scheduled doubleheader. I thought you got enough doubleheaders last year, thanks to Mother Nature. But the scheduled doubleheader in that 4-game series, in that situation, what's the thought process behind that? What do you get out of playing an extra game against a team like that?
Well, it's just scheduling's tough, So when you have another coach that wants to play 4 games, we're open ears, if it works out for us. So we got guys that need to throw. I got guys that didn't throw this weekend that I want to see. I want to see out there. I want to see if they're going to be able to help us. That have earned the right, that to see if they're going to be able to help us. So that's it forces your hand a little bit. As a coach, you saw that guy pitch good last weekend. You kind of wanted to run back out there, but it kind of forces your hand to play more guys.
Is it also maybe a little bit of a setup for the tournament in case you get in that elimination bracket where you may have to play 2 games in a
Yeah, and we're going to have to do it throughout the year. I mean, there's going to be a conference weekend where we have to play 2 games also. So it's preparation. That's all it is. It's preparation with the win and a loss. At the end of it, that's all it is.
And you look at North Alabama again, a transitioning team. So it's a team that you kind of saw, I guess, a little bit with UIW and ACU in the early part of their time in the conference.
Yeah, and I think baseball is probably unique where you can get some transfers in that can make that transition a whole lot easier. I think if you look at Incarnate Word and Abilene, those guys, they got good fast. I think Abilene, they got a really good team this year. Incarnate did what they did last year. So it'll be a tough test. There's no doubt about it, and we're happy to get those guys down.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.